Welcome to this tutorial for the new version of the rejection alert indicator. The current version is 1.1 and this tutorial is probably good for the next versions as well. But just to let you know, this is based on this version. So if you see anything in this video that you don't find in your current version, then you either don't have the latest version yet. So in that case, please just re-add the indicator, the rejection alert indicator to your chart. Or maybe you have a newer version which doesn't exist at the time of this recording. And in that case, I will add more material, more videos to the how-to guide for this indicator. The how-to guide you can find here if you click on how-to guides. And then you click on the rejection alert indicator, which is where you probably are right now, by the way. So you will find it here if I add anything. However, the main video is this one. So this should show you all the things that you can do with this indicator. And please watch this video entirely. You might miss a lot of important information if you skip this. So please, please, please watch it. And first of all, when do you use the rejection alert indicator? So normally, or the recommended way to do it is if in the IRL alerts channel, there's some alert popping up, and let's say there's a 4-hour alert from the weekly IRL, then you can place the indicator on the 4-hour chart, and you can then look for lower time frame confirmations on 15-minute or even on 5-minute, which I will show you in a moment. And yeah, basically you can use this channel as your, let's say, as your heads up when you should place the rejection alert indicator. However, you can also use it at any other point in time, but this was just the recommended way. To add it to your chart, what you do is, first of all, you should add it to your favorites. So if you click on indicators here, you will find them in the invite only tab. Make sure that you activate this star here next to it, so that then you have them in your favorites, and you can, when you've done that, you can add them from here. So you click the small arrow here, and then you can add the indicators from this dropdown, which makes it very convenient, especially for the rejection alert indicator. If you want to add it to your chart, let's say we want to trade this IRL that was created here on the gold daily chart, then you simply click the indicator, and you hold the command or the control key. If you're on Mac, it's command. On Windows, it's control, so that your line here snaps to the candle. That's very important. You can see here this magnet tool activates if I click. And this ensures that you're drawing it correctly. So we are on the daily, we have a daily IRL, and we draw first the inner price. So the IRL start, the inner price, that's the price that we want to see rejected, or the price level we want to see rejected. So we are here in a bullish scenario. I want to have a rejection of this price level to the top. And for that, we start with the inner price here. So again, I hold the command key because I'm on Mac. I click, then I have to draw the outer price, or the IRL end, where it's ending, which is the invalidation price. So if we have the daily time frame closing below this level 2 times in a row, then this IRL would be invalidated. So we hold the command or the control key so that the line snaps here to the candle, and we click. And now we want to set the IRL confirmation candle. This candle here confirmed the IRL, so I put my mouse here. Very important not to do it here. If you put it at a point where price was already trading into it, then it will not work properly. So you put it here, you click, and then you get a confirmation window, which shows you some additional information. So for example, most importantly here, you can set the time frame that you're looking at right now, and this will be important for the invalidation. So if the daily time frame in this case closes below this area, then we need to have this as a setting, otherwise it wouldn't look at the daily time frame. And at the same time, the setting here also defines the time frames for the rejection models if they are set to auto. I will explain more about that in a moment. However, let me go through the settings here one by one. So first of all, we have the show setup help guide. You can always click here on the tooltips if you're unsure what something means. And they are added everywhere where I find them important. So first of all, the show setup or help guide, if you click that, then you will get some labels here. Once you click apply, I will show you that in a moment when we are done here with settings. Then we have the IRL time frame, as I just said. So this defines what time frame will be used for the invalidation of the IRL and also for the automatic time frames here. Then we have a setting to wait for the IRL midline touch before we track rejections. So if you want to see a pullback down here to the mid of this IRL or of this fair value gap, then you can activate that. Otherwise, you will not get a signal or an alert before that happens. Then we have our rejection models. I will go through that in detail in a moment. But here you can already select which ones are you interested in. So let's say you only want to trade unicorns, then you do this. So this way you would only get unicorn alerts. If you want to trade these two, then you can do that, or you can do any confirmation or any combination, what you want. And depending what you activate here, you will get those setups alerted if you activate alerts, which I will also explain in a moment. And then you have the time frame setting here. So I would recommend to leave everything at auto. You can here at the tooltip, you first of all get an explanation what the pattern is. So what is a bullish unicorn? I put some text there to explain that. And at the bottom of this tooltip, you see time frame if auto is selected. If it's a monthly IRL, it will be a daily unicorn. Weekly will be a 4-hour unicorn. Daily, 15-minute, 4-hour, 5-minute, 1-hour, 5-minute, 15-minute, 1 minute. And you see these are not the normal time frame alignments or time frame combinations that you're using, because unicorn is something that can go one time frame lower for specific IRL time frames, as you can see here in the tooltip. And the same we have with order flow chain. So order flow chain also can be for a lower time frame. So here, for example, we don't trade daily to 1 hour, but daily to 15 minutes. And we can also see the same for rapid impulse shift and impulse shift. Here we have the normal time frame alignments that you know from Sir Pickle's videos on YouTube. And then you can also activate a setting here that it must close outside of the IRL, but I will explain all of that in a moment. These settings here at the bottom, you can completely ignore. This is simply the lines that you've just drawn. I have to show them here, otherwise I couldn't let you draw them. So they must be here in the settings, but you can really ignore what's written there. Then if you click apply, and again, we have now show setup help guide activated, just to show you what happens. Then I click apply and you will see this. This looks a bit overwhelming because there's a lot of things going on, a lot of labels. However, if you have this activated, then you see this box here at the bottom. And here I say also setup help guide labels overlap, zoom in. And what we see here, labels are overlapping. So what I like to do now, because we have drawn it, let's go to the aligned time frame down to 1 hour. So everything looks a bit easier to see, because now we also will see the zone drawn already once it loads. So this looks a bit nicer. So now, for example, we see here all this setup help guide, and let me actually deactivate it to show you what is part of this help guide. So we have here this table, we have this label, this label, this label, this label, and see here if I deactivate the help guide, then most of this goes away. However, not everything. So it is all a bit more explained, let's say. So I will not read everything for you now, but it basically explains what is the inner price, what is the outer price, where should you place this line here, this vertical line, so where should you start the drawing of the IRL. And it also has this table here. Also very important, click here one time if you want to adjust the rejection box. The rejection box is this here. You also see the arrow in there, which shows this is a bullish box now. And if you want to change the drawing, you can simply click it. You can click there on this box, but sometimes other indicators overlap with this, so then it cannot be clicked. That's why I added this here. So if you click the table down here or this text box, that also works. And now you can actually move the lines around and it will adjust the drawing when you do so. One thing that is important to note, it shows you if you are drawing a bullish rejection box or a bearish one. So let's say if I, for example, change the inner price, so as we see here explained, if I move that below the outer price, now it will turn into a bearish box. So we see now it's a red box with an arrow down. And now here we have the inner price here, the outer price there. And again, to show you how it looked before, these flip around. So now the inner price is here, the outer price is there. And you also see here in this level in which direction we're going. So I try to make this really clear because we had in the past some people drawing it in the wrong direction. So there are arrows up. If it's bearish, there are arrows down. The text is red, and so on and so on. Then you also see here the time frame of the IRL that you have selected in your settings. So if I would change this here, let's say I go to 1 week instead, then this will also change the text here. Now you see it's from weekly IRL, and you notice maybe also the rejection model timeframes were changed because we have all of them set to auto and they react to the IRL timeframe. So just to go through them here, if we select monthly, these are the timeframes that we have. This is, by the way, the icons that you see here as well. So unicorn is the unicorn icon. Then we have the order flow chain, which is the chain icon. We have the rapid impulse shift, which is the lightning. And we have the impulse shift, which is the boomerang, because I thought that makes sense. So a boomerang returns. So it's something where the direction is changed. That's the best thing I could think of. So maybe I change this in the future, but for now it's that. And we have all of this here and we see the time frame. So again, they're changing based on the IRL. I click here through the different ones and you see how they are adjusted. So if you want to use the timeframes we recommend, then you simply leave everything as it is at auto. If you want to do it in a different way, if you want to use timeframes that you like, so let's say you don't agree with the timeframes we recommend, but you want to look for a specific time frame. Let's say you want to have from the daily, you want to have a 1 hour unicorn, then you can do that here. And if you don't select auto, then you will see now that this actually is not the default anymore because it was 15 minutes before. Again, let me change this. Let's set it to 2 hour. And then you will see here, this will be changed. Now it's a 2 hour unicorn. But again, we recommend to keep it at automatic. Okay, this is this for now. Let me actually go back and delete this because I changed the drawing. So for deleting this drawing, you can simply hit backspace on your keyboard when you have this activated. So when the lines are visible here, you click here, then you click backspace. A different way to remove it would simply be to remove the indicator from your chart up there. And let me now edit again. So again, I go to the daily chart and I will add this indicator from the drop down here, click on rejection alert, hold command or control, click here inner price, outer price, confirmation candle, and it is a daily time frame here, so I leave this at 1 day and I simply click apply. So it can be added very, very quickly. Now I will go to lower time frames. So you see here, open the 15-minute time frame before setting up the alert. This information here for the time frame shows the lowest time frame that is used for any rejection model here. And we have to use this time frame to set up the alert. So we go to the 15-minute, then this box here will disappear. And now, when we don't have this warning here, we can set up the alert. The alert is set up in a way that we simply click here. We click on the 3 dots. Then we say, oh, sorry, I'm in replay mode. I cannot show this in replay mode. Let me end this quickly. In replay mode, no alerts are possible. But so let's say we would be here where it's fresh. We click here, we click on the 3 dots and then add alert on cervical rejection alert. And then you can select here what notifications you want to have, and then you leave this as it is. So you leave it at any alert function call, and you simply click create. And that's it. Then your alerts are set up, and you will receive a notification when a model appears. Let me do that again for you. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows what I'm doing. So let me do this again. So we have this fair value gap here. Let's say we would want to trade that. Let's say this daily candle was already closed. It is not now, but again, I cannot use replay mode to set up the alert. So I will show you here. So you click on the arrow down here, then rejection alert. Then you hold command or control, so it snaps to the bar. You click the inner price, so where does the price trade in first? Then you click the outer price, where does it invalidate the IRL? Then you click the confirmation candle, and then you click here apply. Now we see here open the 15-minute time frame, so we do that 15-minute. Then we click here, we click the 3 dots, we say add alert on Serpical rejection alert, and we say create, and that's all. So it's very, very simple and very fast to set up the alerts. This is the setup guide basically, so you could finish the video now if you are not interested in the setups, but again, I do recommend strongly to keep watching and to understand what the setups are and how they are drawn and why they are drawn this way. So this was that. Let me quickly actually show you a bearish example on a different time frame. Let's say we're on 4 hour, and let us say, let me actually go to a different symbol where something bearish is happening. And okay, so here, for example, that's a good one. I'm not saying you should trade that, but it technically is valid. So this is a confirmed IRL that is not touched yet. So this is actually a perfect example. And again, we click on the arrow down, we say rejection alert, and we select the price or the price level where price trades into first. So the start of the fair value gap here, where price comes in first. Inner, outer, confirmation candle. And now we are on the 4 hour. So we select here 4 hour, and then we simply click apply. Now you see it's a red box drawn. So now we have to go to the 5-minute time frame, because here the lowest time frame we have is 5 minutes. I go to 5 minute. I click here. I click the 3 dots. I say add alert. I say create, and that's it. Now I will receive alerts when something happens, when there's a rejection or an invalidation of the IRL. So I hope this is clear so far. Now let me show you. I will go back to gold because I know there were some setups. This is a bit cherry picked, but I want to show you the setups happening. So let me go here. One thing that is very important that we also had often as a support request is now these drawings are a bit messy because we are still having the stats here, or the coordinates from the previous symbol that I was on. So for this reason, once you set up an alert, you can actually remove the indicator from the chart, and then you can edit again. If you want to keep the indicator on this chart, there's a different video in the how-to guide where I explain how you can use different layouts to have multiple instances of your indicator on the chart. You can watch that video for that. I will not explain that here, but it is possible to have the rejection alert and also the IRL to ERL indicator with different settings, with different bias settings. You can have them on the chart at the same time for different symbols by using different layouts. But again, for that, please watch the other video. That is not part of this one. Okay, now let me go back to the daily chart and let me draw the indicator. So again, we click the drop down here, then we click on rejection alert, holding command or control, inner price, outer price, confirmation candle. We are on the daily, so everything fine, and I click apply. Now, if I go to a lower time frame, so again, 15-minute is the lowest time frame that the models here suggest. And so I go to the 15-minute time frame, and now I will just do a bit of replay, and we will see what the indicator is doing. So first of all, we now traded into the IRL, into this rejection box that we have drawn, and you see there are triangles here, green triangles appearing. If this would be a bearish box where we look for a sell, then we would have red triangles pointing down here. But again, now it's a bullish scenario, so we have green triangles pointing up, and they appear once we trade into this area. They show us that the indicator is now waiting for a rejection or looking for a rejection. One thing that is important here, if you say you want to wait for the midline touch, let me activate this, then you will see the midline appearing. Here it is, this dashed line here. And you see now that only now, once we touch this, only now it starts looking for rejections. But again, I personally don't use this. I don't want to use it for this example. So we can just leave it like this. And I will click OK. And now we are waiting for a rejection to appear. So again, we are on the 15-minute now. This is a daily box, but 15-minute is allowed for unicorn and for the chain. So I will just play a little. Okay, here we have the first rejection, and you see here this bell icon. When we have this bell appearing, that means an alert is sent. In replay mode, again, this isn't possible, but you will see when you set up your alert, as I showed in the beginning of this video, you will get alerts, in this case for a unicorn model that appeared here. And to show you what the unicorn model is, so basically it is a low marked by the L here, then it is a high, which is marked by the H, and then it's a lower low, which is marked by LL. And we then look for the highest bullish candle or candles, so this can also be multiple candles in a row, and they act as the breaker block. And they are marked here with this slightly visible background. Maybe for this video, actually, let me change the color a little bit. So we can here set the opacity a bit higher so it's a bit easier to see. And we now have this as a breaker block. And a unicorn is when we have a breaker block that overlaps with a bullish fair value gap, for a bullish scenario, of course. And then we close above the breaker. And we do this here on this candle. We close above the first time, but we don't have a fair value gap yet. It is only confirmed on this candle, which is why the alert is sent at the candle close of this candle. Technically, just to let you know, it is actually sent at the opening of this candle, but this is the confirmation candle, which is why I draw this bell one candle further in the past, because otherwise I feel like it would be confusing, like why is this the alert candle? So it's actually this one that triggered the alert, but it comes at the opening of the next candle here. And this is a unicorn. So we have a low, a high, a lower low. The breaker block then overlaps with a bullish fair value gap, and that's it. Again, this is also explained here in this tooltip, exactly what I just told you here. And that is that. Then let's see if we get more rejection models, because now we have up to 4 models that we can get. So I keep playing. Here's something new. So here now you see these boxes. We have, let me actually hide the unicorn to make it a bit easier to see. This is an order flow chain. So we have now order flow number 1, which is marked here by a fair value gap. So an order flow like requires a fair value gap to exist. And this box here says 1, so it's the first one. Then we touched that and we reacted from it, and we created another fair value gap or another order flow leg, and we closed above the high that was formed here. So we basically have a pattern like this. We move up, then we touch a fair value gap in this price move, and we create another order flow leg. And once this order flow leg is confirmed, that means once this fair value gap exists, we do get the order flow chain alert, which we can see here, which says 15-minute chain. And so that's the second model that we have. Important to know, it is not only a fair value gap chain, it's actually an order flow chain. So if we would have, let's say, a high that is here before that, and let's say price here moved up and then didn't come back to touch the fair value gap here, but only touched this breaker block or this mitigation block. In this case, it's a breaker block, but touched the previous high, let's say, before this order flow leg, and then moves higher and here creates a fair value gap, then it is still valid. It will still count. So this is a very rare but a possible scenario, just to let you know if you are confused ever. So if this wasn't touched, this fair value gap, then it means there was the previous high was touched already. Okay, this is the fair value gap chain or order flow chain. And then we have let's play further. So we still have two more models, which is the rapid impulse shift and the impulse shift. Let's see if they appear here. And now, very important, impulse shift is basically just a fair value gap reaction. So it is simply one fair value gap away. Why is this not shown here? Because we are on a lower time frame. We are on 15-minute, but the time frame here is 1 hour. This is very, very important because you will be confused if you don't pay attention to this. Always look at the time frame. And so now, because we are looking at 1 hour for this, let me actually go to 1 hour so it's easier to see. And now we see, okay, here is a fair value gap forming, but it's only confirmed at the open of the next candle, because then the close of this candle can be confirmed. So if I play on, you will see that nothing happens yet. And here also something to look out for. We are waiting for the close outside the IRL. If you don't want that for whatever reason, you can deactivate that here. And in this case, you will see that there's already an impulse shift marked with this IMPS, so imps. It is already happening, but we are, let's say we are waiting for the close outside, so that means price must close above here. Otherwise, we will not show it. And here now you see we close above, and now we have the impulse shift, and at the same time we got a rapid impulse shift. So let me show you one of them first. So let's start with the impulse shift. Again, impulse shift is simply a 1 hour fair value gap in this case. So it's a fair value gap that rejects, which is, if you had the previous version of this indicator, which is the very normal standard fair value gap reaction or rejection. And it is shown again with IMPS or impulse shift. And it also says here 1 hour impulse shift. And then we have also a rapid impulse shift, which is this model here. And rapid impulse shift means simply we have a fair value gap in the last order flow leg here. And then we have a fair value gap out, which is here. It's very, very tiny, but there is one between these two candles. So it is a valid rapid impulse shift. And this, again, this simply means fair value gap in, fair value gap out, and they both are overlapping. This is usually a strong confirmation signal that price wants to here manipulate into the gap, then move out and then push higher from here. Of course, none of these models happen or work all the time, but they do show quite good confirmation when they appear. And these are the four models. So again, we have unicorn, order flow chain, rapid impulse shift, and impulse shift. And again, if we are on the lower time frame, we must go on the lower time frame if we want to see the models. So 15-minute unicorn, 15-minute chain, we must go to 15-minute. And here they are all happening at the same time. This looks chaotic, I'm very aware, but it is important to show all of them. So we can't really make it non-chaotic. So if they all happen at the same time, it doesn't happen too often, but if it happens, it looks like this. So in this case, you will simply have to look at them one by one. So deactivate all except one. If you want to see clearer what is what, then you can still clearly see what it is without the chart being too messy. But again, if you want to see all of them, then that simply happens sometimes if they all overlap, and that's okay. But yeah, then also you can see the 1 hour rejections of rapid impulse shift and impulse shift. Let me just show you the impulse shift. You can also see them on the lower time frame. So as long as you are on the lowest time frame of all these models, you can see all of them. So you see here, for example, we have a 1 hour impulse shift that is drawn here based on this candle's high and this candle's low. So it is still correct. So you can go to the lower time frame. However, if I'm on 1 hour, I will not see anything that happens on lower time frames. So lower than 1 hour, you will not see. I hope this is clear. So far, I think I explained everything that is important. Let me simply guide you through the settings that we have. So when you add the indicator to the chart, you will see that we have only these settings here. This is for confirming the inputs. These are the most important ones. However, if you edit the indicator to the chart, you can double click on the settings or double click on the indicator or click the settings icon here, and then you will have more settings. So one thing that might be interesting for you is draw all unicorns. So this is for educational purposes if you want to learn how to spot them. Let me activate that. And now what happens is we are getting all the unicorns if we are on the correct time frame. Again, for this is important. First of all, we have to activate unicorn here. And we must be on the right time frame. Again, unicorn is 15 minutes, so we must go to 15 minute. And now we see them. And here you can see the blue ones are for bullish scenarios, the pink ones are for bearish scenarios. And this shouldn't be traded. They happen all the time. But this, again, is just to show you how to spot them, to show you how the indicator recognizes them. And yeah, we hope this will be helpful for you to learn how they are drawn. And that is that. We have the same setting for the rapid impulse shift where you can also draw all. And this is down here. So draw all rapid impulse shifts. And they are drawn from 1 hour. So let me go to 1 hour. And you now see all rapid impulse shifts, always marked with the fair value gap in, which is marked with these 2 lines here, and then the fair value gap out, which is marked with the gray box. And this is for bullish, this is for bearish. So yeah, you can play around with that and you will find out, I guess, what is happening there. And okay, so we have draw all, then we have color settings, label settings. I don't need to explain all of this. This should be clear what it means. Then for order flow chain, if we have a moment where, or not only for order flow chain, rapid impulse shift and impulse shift, we can have a moment where we are waiting for price to close outside. Let's say in this example, we are waiting for price to close above and we already have fair value gaps appearing. And let's say, let me just hide the indicator for a moment and draw this manually. So we have, let's say we have this IRL. And we are waiting for the close above. And we already have now 1 hour gaps appearing, for example. This one, here's a 1 hour fair value gap. We had here the tiny one, which I will not draw now. But then let's say here we have another one. And now we will close above. Here we closed above, and now it would send the alert, or it would say we have a setup here happening. However, if you activate the setting that you say, for example, for impulse shift, ignore fair value gaps that are partially filled or completely filled. If we say partially filled, this fair value gap here, it was touched already. This would not be counted. This would be removed because it was touched before we closed above here. This fair value gap would still exist. So this is a setting for that. Again, we do recommend to leave this at default. So you can, I added this setting so you have fresh, untouched fair value gaps when a setup appears. And yeah, the rest is pretty much just color settings. Again, nothing I need to explain. Then we also have one special thing. We have 2 candle rejection added here for more entry patterns that can happen. For that, I will actually use just simply drawings here to explain to you what happens. So let's say if we have an IRL that is here, it's a bullish one in this case, and we are moving into, or we came from here, we created this IRL, and we are now trading back into it. And let's say in this move, we are already creating a rejection. Let's say there's, for example, an impulse shift with a fair value gap here. We can get an alert for that already. Now, if we trade lower, so we break this previous low, now every model can appear again, because this could happen often that we have something, a first reaction, it doesn't really play out, and then we get another reaction. And let's say if now price comes here and we get another impulse shift, this would be alerted again. But only as long as we have only 2 candles touching the IRL from the IRL time frame. Let me find an example for this. Okay, here I found one on USD CHF, and we have here this fair value gap, and I know that there will be a sweep in this reaction inside the IRL. So that's why I picked this one. So let me add the indicator to the chart again. So rejection alert, holding command, inner, outer, confirmation. And I'm now on the 1 hour chart. So I will select 1 hour here. And then I click apply. And now if I go to the 1 minute chart, because 1 minute would be the most extreme, the furthest away. So we have here the chain that can happen on 1 minute. And now I will play a little to show you what happens with the sweep. So we will trade into the zone in a moment. Then you will have the triangles here appearing. There we go. And now you see we have price reacting from it on the 1 minute for now. So let me, this one I can remove. And okay, all models are active. So let's play. Okay, now you see here we got a 5 minute reaction. We already got the alert here that was sent here at the close of this candle or at the open of the next candle. And then we moved lower. And now you see here the previous 1 hour low, as is written here, was swept. And now if another model appears, like this one, so we have here a fair value gap chain happening, this will get alerted. So after this, and now we also have a unicorn appearing. So again, after this first sweep, even though we got a first reaction, you can get more alerts. If then, however, the next higher time frame, so the next IRL time frame candle appears, and let's say this candle would then go below the second candle. So this is the first candle's low. This is the second IRL time frame candle's low. And then if we go lower than that, then the IRL will be invalidated. So we only allow the sweep of the first candle. So it's a 2 candle reaction. The first candle trades into the IRL. The first candle then gets swept. And if the second candle gets swept, then we're invalidating. So I hope this makes sense. And I think that's it. I will leave you with this and have fun. So we are really, really happy with this update. We are very proud of it. It took a ton of time to program. And we hope you will enjoy the hell out of this. So let me know if you have any questions. I will be in the tech support chat as usual. And yeah, I hope you will enjoy this.